Yo, basically, Larry, Billy Joe, Willie Lee, and Otis Chambers was born in Lee County, Arkansas during the mid-60s and 70s. They were 4 of 14 children who grew up in the poverty-stricken Deep South. Their generation before them were cotton farmers who grew up and worked hard day and night to keep a roof over their family's head. Oftentimes than many, blacks in the Deep South had very few economic opportunities. They had to get it out the mud the best way they knew how. And due to this, Billy Joe was one of the first in his family to try to go out of town and try to get some money. His first stop was Detroit, Michigan. Upon arriving in Detroit, BJ linked up with a shorty he used to mess with from back in the day. She let him stay with her and her family until he finally got on his feet. A couple of her family members was already in the game and decided to put BJ on. As BJ dibbled and dabbled in the game, he got introduced to a plug named Big T. Big T had it all, and this allowed BJ to serve his customers whatever they needed, building his clientele and furthering his position in the game. BJ's trap started to take off and do numbers. He started to move peas a za at an alarming rate. He couldn't keep work out the trap long enough before everything was sold out. Day after day, peas was moving and being flipped, you heard? BJ became hesitant to move other forms of work because he was doing so good with the za. However, all this would change when a family friend tried to convince BJ to move into the hard game. You feel me? Basically, the family friend came to BJ one day asking him to cop an ounce of white so they could cook it up, turn it into hard, and move it out of one of BJ's traps. The family friend thought that since BJ already had motion going and the real estate to move to work, everything should work out smoothly. He explained to BJ that the fiends in Detroit was going crazy over the little piece of rock. A person would take just one hit of the rock and lose his soul in the process. They had no idea the death and destruction the hard would cause to the city. Men who sold it became kings of kings and lords of lords, while those who foolishly used it themselves became trapped in a cycle of never-ending despair. BJ relented and copped the ounce, let his friend cook it up, and in the first 24 hours, things didn't go as planned. They only had about $30 to $40 that night. That's the only thing they made. The friend apologized to BJ and promised him that he would pay him back. BJ didn't care. He was already caked up with the za. He kept it moving. The next day, his pager went off. When he finally called it back, it was one of the workers informing him that he needed to come to the trap ASAP. When he got back to the trap, he found out over $30,000 worth of customers had came through the cop, and they wanted the hard. BJ couldn't believe how fast things picked up. And za to hard. And things took off. Slowly but surely, his brothers peeped game and wanted in on the action. BJ welcomed them in with open arms, and it was off to the races. BJ flooded the market and opened up multiple spots throughout the city. BJ revolutionized the way the game was being played, and he ran his organization with strict rules in place. Some of these rules included no riding with work and bread in the car, no stealing from each other, no snitching, and no music going on loud when they making drop-offs. And finally, no strangers in the trap. All of these rules was followed to a T, and anyone caught breaking any of these rules faced immediate discipline. Some of these rules included breaking bones and fingers of thieves, violent beatings, to even dropping a body or two. All these actions were deemed necessary to keep the organization moving. The Chambers brothers treated their traps like Fortune 500 companies. They were ahead of their time by giving fiends 2-for-1 coupon deals. The movie New Jack City was based on the Chambers brothers. The main character, Nino Brown, purchased a whole apartment complex, selling his work out of it 24 hours a day. This was based on BJ's and his family's crew. They had walkie-talkies for the crew and lookouts on the roof and surrounding areas. They left nothing to chance. As more and more bread started coming in, BJ and his brothers started opening up more and more traps. At their height, the brothers opened up over 27 spots. BJ's traps took in over 200 stacks a day. This took a lot out of BJ, and he had to hire workers from down south to hold down spots. Just like in the movie New Jack City, when Nino copped the Carter, the boy BJ copped a complex called the Broadmoor. The work was priced by floor, nickel racks on the first floor, dimes on the second, 20s and 50s on the upper floors, and they even had rooms where fiends could cop the pipes to smoke. Eventually, all this became too much to control. In the fall of 1986, lawmakers began cracking down on hustlers from all over the country. Famous entertainers and athletes began dying from overdoses. One in particular, Len Bias, who played for the Boston Celtics, he was found dead over an overdose one night, and this event sent shockwaves all over America. Back in Detroit, police began a program called the No Crack Crew. This team of officers began raiding all the Chambers Brothers traps around the city. During one of the raids, the police found a video of the Chambers Brothers counting over 500 stacks. This was the nail in their coffin. March 1st, 1988, the feds charged the brothers with a 15-count indictment, including conspiracy to distribute cocaine and supervising a criminal enterprise. It was all over. The tape of the brothers counting the 500 stacks was being played all over the news, all over America. When it was all said and done, BJ received a 50-year sentence, but it got reduced to 27 on appeal. Willie got 21 years, Otis got 27 years, and Larry got life. Damn.